I am the head of business development at Alea, and we're an insurance brokerage that focuses on employee benefits and well-being, and no better panel than everyone else that's joining me on stage today. So I'm going to ask our panelists to introduce yourselves and share one thing that you've done for yourself over the last few years on your health journey that's made the biggest impact in your life. Sure, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Angela. I'm the co-founder for Nest Wellness. So Nest is a holistic well-being platform that you offer B2B and B2C service. So for me, because I've been working with a lot of the coaches and an expert, what I think impacted me a lot the most is actually to really learn about like breathing breathwork technique. It really helped me with a lot of anxiety, or when I'm stressed, or when I need to be more awake or more focused. Just by changing your breathing can really help you. So I think this is amazing. So I really want more people to learn more about that as well. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me here. My name is Kara Chung from Amgen Hong Kong. A bit about Amgen. So Amgen is a global biopharmaceutical company founded in 1980, so about 40 plus years old, with its headquarters at Thousand Oaks, California. It's one of the world's largest independent biotech companies with its own R&D, manufacturing, and commercial capabilities. We have about 25,000 employees all over the world, operating in about 100 countries today. With this global reach, we're able to serve about 10 million patients annually with our medicines. So one thing about myself, my own health journey, I am a pharmacist by training, so I've always understood the value and appreciated the value of medicine. But it wasn't until about 10 years ago when I was actually diagnosed with a chronic blood disorder that, when I became a patient myself, I started to realize, hey, a patient journey is more than just medicine. It actually takes a village, right? From knowing how to navigate through the healthcare system, finding the right doctor, right specialty, have access to affordable treatments, and that motivation and encouragement throughout the journey of medications, is really important, right? So that has really inspired me to work and collaborate across the healthcare industry with other stakeholders to provide not just medicine, but also a total, healthcare solution for our patients.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ivan Lee. As mentioned, I was formerly the Deputy COO of Prenetics. So Prenetics is a genomics-driven healthcare company. We started more on the consumer genomics side. For those who are based in Hong Kong, we were very, very involved in the work that we had to do in COVID-19 testing in Hong Kong as well as in the UK. The one thing about my healthcare journey, more of a personal kind of answer where I think in the past, I was always very kind of goal-driven with my healthcare, if you will, in terms of losing weight, how do I get ready for something? And I think a big shift that happened more recently, and I think I hear from even today's panels, is looking a lot more beyond in terms of how do I think about maybe my health when I'm 60, when I'm 70, and changing my relationship with the things I do on a daily basis, and having a much more kind of long-term thinking in mind.
Great, thank you very much. It's great to hear some of your personal, journeys and things that you do for yourselves as we dive into how we rethink about, health care, workplace, and well-being. So I want to share with everyone. I want to reference an article on design in the workplace by the Deloitte's Chief Wellbeing Officer, Jen Fisher. And in 2020, over 9,000 human capital respondents rated 80% had said well-being was a top priority. However, there is a gap between what workers want in terms of workplace well-being and what's needed in workplace transformation. And how do we bridge the two? And we're now at a time where, we have a downfall in our market, and how do we, as leaders in the healthcare space, transform the way that we work from now on out? And we were very good at the start of COVID and pooling all of our resources into our people and giving them everything that they needed. And so my first question for the panel is, what actions have your companies taken since 2020 to retain talent whilst managing your costs You know, and one thing to note about our panel is that we have three very different companies, you know, from very mature to maturing and growing to startups. So I'm very interested to hear how each of you, you know, what actions you've taken. Maybe I'll throw it to you first.
Sure. So maybe even a bit of background, which was during the pandemic, I think we had to be very creative at Prenetics in terms of what we do for the team, right? You could imagine that there are teams that could, that we want to quickly, isolate and have them work at home. But equally, we had a lot of people who just needed to continue working, right? Whether that's in the lab actually doing a lot of testing work, but also the operations team that needed to be working, very, very closely with each other. And so I kind of come back and say we had to be very creative in terms of, certainly during the pandemic, it was around how do we provide the right support and testing, not only to the employees, but also their families, and how do we make sure that people feel like they're taken care of. I think certainly that there was a lot of challenges when it comes to how do we manage costs down. And I would say that's where we absolutely explored a lot of different solutions, such as how do we be more creative about getting people involved, whether that's as we leave the pandemic, right? Whether that's meeting together for weekly runs with a team, or whether that's being more creative about how do we help people in terms of their learning development. So we were looking for very different solutions to provide something for the team.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we've done quite a number of initiatives, actually, and I'll share a couple. Look, I think, throughout the pandemic, we've really seen a dramatic shift in terms of the preference of how our people, our teams, their preferred mode of working, right? We introduced what we call flex space working model. Is essentially a flexible working model, hybrid working model, where the employees can decide, to choose when and where they want to work. And it's really welcomed and appreciated by the team because the team feels empowered, right, to find their own right balance of virtual versus in-person interaction to perform at their best. And of course, we also recognize the importance of connection and that sense of belonging, right? So we do have, office events just to bring people back to the office for them to stay connected. With your question about managing cost, I think with people working hybrid model, our office space has downsized a bit just because we just don't need the full size for 100 people coming to the office every day. With that savings, it goes into other programs such as ergonomics support for people who work from home, wellness program at the gym, also mental counseling. So we do everything we can to make sure people stay fit, physically and mentally. And as a result, Amgen has been recognized externally as one of the best places to work, a caring company in consecutive years. But true testament, though, is the feedback from our employees through employee survey. Overwhelmingly positive feedback on how the company has really taken action to support their well-being. They feel valued and they're highly engaged.
So for us, actually, our core business is to help company for their employment well-being. So we constantly help a lot of different companies to come up with solution. We have worked with company in corporation like Dell, DHL. For what we're doing is basically during the pandemic, a lot of the employees are working remotely. So we come up with online well-being wellness program, which we enable them to do interactive workshop, including meditation, breath work, and also we send them care package. We want to be creative, right? And a lot of the employee, because of COVID, they're not able to see each other. So we let them to write letters to each other, to give compliment, to create that positive working culture, and also to share something that they don't know about them, like that what they do like in the weekends with their kids. And also we talk about a lot of topics on how do you manage work-life balance. because working remotely, there's no set time of like when do you finish work because you're basically working at home. So how do you set that boundary, and also how do you deal with that within your family, because a lot of kids are going to school at home as well, right? So I think able to better communicate, come out with tools, come out with classes and regulation of at home, like how do you set boundary, how do you be better communicate. I think that's something really helpful for a lot of company during COVID. And in terms of our own company, we do, because we had to do a lot of creative ideas to help other company to come up with well-being solution. So we do a lot of tests out, like what are the activities that we can do within company as a test? How do you do like group work, interaction, challenges, and also like the things, how do you do like tracking to improve yourself? We also do a lot of health and wellness assessment within our company and also other corporates to see where you're at. Kind of like when you go to the gym, you go to InBody to kind of measure where you're at and then see, okay, these is my stats, like my numbers right now. How do I improve on different dimensions of wellness? So I think there are many, many things that as a company that can do. I think, again, as Evan said, how to be creative, right? And then also do taking care of your employee to communicate with them and see what do they need. I think that's something that's quite important. Yes.
It sounds like you have a really good time doing your own R&D. And I think it's also very inspiring and promising to hear from, a company like Amgen that's very well established and also paving that way forward, because it does tell other companies that, look, you can have harmony in the workplace and give that balance to people. And my second question is then, okay, we're giving flexibility to people and we're supporting them and taking care of them. How do we measure their happiness? How do we measure happiness with relation to employee benefits and other, wellness initiatives that we're giving them and, keeping them motivated as well? Everyone wants to jump in.
No, I think because this is something that I talk about a lot, about like how do you create a positive culture and create a happy company. In order to do that, as I mentioned, I think having that wellness assessment is very important, right? To see where you're at. Because you need to know how's everyone doing. Are they really stressed? Are they burning out? And then what are the things that you can help to facilitate? I think that's quite important. So without knowing what's happening, you're not going to know how can I help you. Right. So I think employee happiness is sometimes a lot of the company, they forget to think about how are they doing. It's like kind of when you go say hi to like, how are you? But really, how are you feeling? And then to understand what they are, and then you come up with the program and things and tools and to really help them. Then they feel, okay, I'm part of the community. I feel belonging. I feel being taken care. And then I can work on my happiness and be better, and I feel more inclusive. I think that's quite important. Yes.
Yeah, I talked a little bit, earlier about surveys, right? So we conduct twice a year what we call a pulse survey, just to see how our employees feel, how the company is doing in terms of supporting them to achieve their goals, right? What's working, what can be improved. So that's an online survey that we do twice a year. In addition, we also have in-person dialogues, right? Because I think that's also very valuable. Just for them to ask questions, and address any concerns they have. Taking that visible action to listen and to act upon their feedback is super, super powerful.
Yeah, I would share we worked on something very similar where I would say it wasn't just kind of a one solution per se, but a range of solutions, mixing between do we have kind of structured dialogues that we want our managers to be having with their team, into, do we also encourage them to have informal conversations, whether that's like a paid for coffee that the company will sponsor just to get people talking and sharing, but also into, where, and it was interesting where we were just in between a small company and a big company, which meant that sometimes conversations may not unfortunately flow as simply as we want. And I think that's where surveys actually do come in play. And we also thought about survey from a more almost holistic approach around not only, hey, how are you doing in terms of your mental and health state, but also are you feeling engaged? Are you enjoying the work? Do you feel challenged? Is your boss giving you clear directions? But just really finding ways to keep tabs of how the team's doing, and having managers react to it.
Well, we've talked a bit about retaining our talent. And so my next question is around attracting talent. And, how do we attract foreign talent in Hong Kong, and are you experiencing, what are you experiencing? And maybe if you've been interviewing or talking to other candidates, what are the top 3 things that you hear people want when they think about coming and working here?
Maybe I'll go first. A couple of things, Dee, that I often get asked during interviews with candidates. The first piece is, what is your company culture? Right? So what's your culture? Second piece is, what does your company stand for? In other words, what's your purpose? Right? So culture and purpose. As a global healthcare company, Amgen has really been committed in diversity, inclusion, and belonging. And because, we believe an organization can achieve its optimal potential when the employees can actually harness their diverse talents at the workplace, right? They feel empowered to express themselves without fear, and also feeling that strong sense of belonging at the workplace. We've done a whole host of things. We have Future Leaders Program, educating our leaders how to demonstrate those values. We recently formed a team of influencers, DI&B influencers, who actually introduce programs to create a more inclusive working environment so people can bring their authentic selves to work. In my opinion, I think, instilling that diversity, inclusion, belonging culture it's super important when it comes to retaining talent. We all are faced with very lean structures. So, honestly, the opportunities for vertical promotion is very limited, right? So retaining a talent, the strategy is crucial. The second piece is on purpose, right? Having a shared purpose is very powerful when it comes to engaging our employees, right? So at Amgen, our mission is very simple. Only 3 words: to serve patients. Right? And we live and breathe these 3 words every day. We base our business decisions with a laser focus on this mission. So once a year, our company we hold an event it's a global initiative called Mission Week, where we actually use this week to reaffirm our mission to serve patients. We bring together patients, patient advocates, for them to share their stories, share their struggles, and share their insights with us so that we can actually contribute even more to optimize the patient journey. So, I think that tone from the top and also for our leaders and managers to really demonstrate these values would really support our employees.
Thank you. Anything to add from Angela or Ivan?
I mean, I'd love to hop onto the point on purpose, right? And I think I reflect a little bit on where, as you think about things you can do with your employees, you might run into questions around, hey, how do I, get the costs right, and how do I manage my budget, and I need to worry about product market fit, I need to worry about all these other things. I think one of the easiest thing to do that has a lot of yield and leverage is actually on communicating that purpose. And I think that's where healthcare startups have such a great advantage on this when you think about attracting and retaining talent, right? And the point being that all these companies are working on such great things, but I think sometimes the pity may be that senior leaders don't recognize enough that the purpose is not clear enough to the team, and maybe we know the words and maybe we know the mission statement, but people don't see what that means from a people perspective, right? Because we talk about all these such complex things, right, around like blockchain, around gene therapy, but how do you bring that broad problem into what it impacts in terms of at a human level, and letting your team get excited from it? I think it's something that is just so important when we're in healthcare.
Yeah, just to add on to that, I believe purpose is quite important. Actually, that's how we get our talent, because a lot of people are coming to the company is, yes, because of the company culture, but also what's the vision of the company? What are we actually doing to make the world? What's kind of solution that we are bringing to help people? And I think people have the like-minded vision. They will be like, oh, yes, I do want to work for this company because I'm helping the world. I'm providing something to solve a problem and a solution. And I believe in that. And I think that's also a lot of the reason why a lot of companies want to work for a certain company. Yes, because of the vision and also for the culture, and also what is their personal belief and personal fulfillment. I think that's quite important. Yeah.
Thank you all for answering that. I think that really answered my last question, which was going to be, what's your one piece of advice for companies who are either mature or starting up when they want to create that ideal workplace. And what I really got from that is being clear on your vision, your culture that you have, and then that purpose. So thank you, all three of you, for being on this panel. And I hope the audience is also getting a lot from this session.